Good morning. It is good to see you today. Let's all stand and join in worship together this morning. Your love awakens me. is so good to see you this morning. We're glad that you are here today. If you're a guest in our service, we would like for you to fill out the connection card that is located inside your bulletin. If you'll fill that out and then tear off that perforated section and place it in the offering box, either over here on this table or at the back table, we can get you a gift to say thanks for being here. On the flip side is a place for prayer requests. If you have an item that you would like to have added to the Wednesday prayer bulletin, fill that out and drop that in the offering box as well. If you're joining us online today, we welcome you. We're so glad that you've joined us online today. Sing along with us and then stay for the message, the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. It is good to see you. Turn and greet each other in the family of God this morning.
Good morning. We are glad that you're here. If you are here or in person, either one, and would like to give an offering, here or in person, I messed this up this morning too in a different way. If you're here, there are two different ways that you can give. You can give online, when you see it on your screen, or in person by putting some money in the boxes. If you're joining us on our live stream, you can't put money in the boxes. Obviously, that's just how space works. It's not my rule. Take it up with God. He just made the world work that way. You will see that way. If you want to give that way, you can give online as well. Right now, I'm going to pray, and when I finish praying, our kids who are kindergarten are going to go to kids worship. So let me pray. Father God, you are holy, awesome, amazing God. You are worthy of our praise. In this moment, as we seek to know you, just
kids going to kids worship are dismissed. Well, good morning, church. Good morning. A joy it is for us to gather together and to lift up the name of Jesus. I believe that in a few weeks, April 9th, we will celebrate Resurrection Sunday. And just to let you know, our schedule that breakfast at 9 o'clock in the kids zone, 9:30 Bible study for all ages, worship 8:15, 10:45, our normal morning schedule there. But I hope that you will make it a priority to be here that morning. It's a special time of worship. I hope that you invite an unchurched friend. Maybe you've got a classmate, maybe a neighbor that is unchurched. I would encourage you to pray and invite them to worship with you on that Sunday, April the 9th. This morning, we're going to consider the disciple who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. His name is Judas Iscariot, and I will admit that there are some things about Judas that I find confusing. There are some things about Judas that I find intriguing. And so tell me, as we get started this morning, what do we know about Judas? We know that he was one of the 12 disciples. What was his task? What was he responsible for within the group of disciples? He was a treasurer, so he was the money guy. They entrusted him with the responsibility of taking care of their finances. We know about Judas, there was an occasion where a woman had come to Jesus and she had taken some costly perfume. And what did she do with that perfume? She poured it over Jesus. And how did Judas feel about that? He didn't like it, right? It's like, why waste all this costly perfume? We could have sold that and we could have fed families for a while. So that's the Judas that we are focusing on this morning. One commentator described Judas in this way. He said Judas was bad enough to do what he did, but good enough not to be able to live with the burden of guilt for what he had done. And so we find the gospel writers, they tell us that Judas was evil enough to betray Jesus, yet afterward he felt remorse, so much so that he took his own life. As Judas questions come up in my mind, was he crooked from the beginning? Or did something happen that kind of changed his mindset? How about the other disciples? How did they not see Judas for who he really was? A traitor. Our text this morning, as we dive in, John chapter 6, verses 70 and 71. John records the words of Christ. It says, Jesus answered the disciples, "Have I not chosen you, the 12? Yet one of you is a what? One of you is a devil." John goes on to explain, now Jesus made Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, for he, one of the 12, was going to betray Christ. Now let me give you some of the backstory leading up to the betrayal of Jesus. It is early morning in Jerusalem, sometime between midnight and dawn. The Jewish officials, they have finished with Jesus. Jesus has been arrested. They've kind of gone through this kangaroo court where they have trumped up some charges against Christ. They have gathered up false witnesses. The Jewish leaders, Annas and Caiaphas, they have both questioned Jesus, and their verdict is clear. They are convinced that because Jesus claimed to be God, that he deserved to die. That was their decision. That was their verdict. Religious leaders are now taking Jesus before Pilate. Pilate was the Roman governor. And the reason Jesus had to go before Pilate is because he was the only one who had the authority to order Jesus' execution. Suddenly, outside Pilate's place, there is movement in the outdoor court. In the shadows of this open court, one man watches with his head slightly bowed. It's been a long night for Judas. We're not sure how many hours have elapsed from the time that he was in the upper room until this moment, but we know that after he left the upper room with Christ, he went straight to the chief priests, making the final arrangements for Jesus' betrayal. And throughout this long night, Judas has waited. I'm not sure what he expected to see, but if at midnight Judas wanted to see Jesus die, at sunrise, he's changed his mind. His head is filled with stories, thinking about Jairus' daughter and the smile on her face when Jesus raised her from the dead. Surely he thought about the picture of Simon Peter as he's walking on the water, the expression on his face. Judas waited outside Pilate's courtyard during what would have been the longest of his life, and these memories simply became too much. And Matthew tells us what happened next. Matthew 27, verses 1 through 5. When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together against Jesus to put him to death. And they bound him and led him away and over to Pilate the governor. Then when Judas, who betrayed him, Judas saw that Jesus had been condemned, he felt remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned by betraying blood. But they said, what is that to us? You shall see to it yourself. And Judas threw the 30 pieces of silver into the temple sanctuary, and he left. And he went away and hanged himself. Church, I would submit to you that Judas was completely overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed with the thought that Jesus was going to die. And I believe in this moment, Judas realized a great mistake. He had made the greatest mistake of his life, and he was trying to find a way to make things right. He tried to return the bag containing the money, but